Have you ever looked at a Korean sentence and thought, why does it sound backwards? For example, in English, we naturally say, I drink coffee. But in Korean, we say, 저는 커피를 마셔요. Literally, I coffee drink. At first, this feels strange because Korean doesn't organize information the same way English does. Many beginners try to translate Korean word for word into English, and that often makes Korean seem confusing. But here's the good news. Korean sentence structure is actually very logical. Once you understand how Korean organizes information, you'll find that reading, listening, and even speaking become much easier. Because this is such an important topic, it's divided into 2 lessons. In this first lesson, we'll focus on the foundation. You'll learn how Korean sentences are organized, what the main parts of a sentence are, and how to put those pieces together to build your own simple Korean sentences. In Part 2, we'll build on today's foundation. We'll learn why Korean speakers often leave out the subject, how word order can change while the meaning stays the same, and how these patterns make everyday Korean sound much more natural. So don't worry about trying to memorize everything today. Think of this lesson as building the framework. Once that framework is in place, everything else becomes much easier to understand. By the end of this lesson, you'll be able to build your own simple Korean sentences, one piece at a time. Are you ready? Let's get started. Let's start with how Korean and English organize information differently. In English, subject, verb, object. I eat pizza. In Korean, subject, object, verb. 저는 피자를 먹어요. Let's begin with the biggest difference between English and Korean. English usually introduces the verb before the object. As soon as you hear, I eat, you already know what's happening. The rest of the sentence simply gives you more information. Korean takes a different approach. Instead of giving you the action first, Korean usually builds the situation before revealing the action. It first tells you things like, who are we talking about? What is involved? Sometimes when? Sometimes where? Only after building that picture does Korean tell you what happens. That's why Korean sentences often feel as though they're building toward the end. Rather than thinking, Korean is backwards, it's much more helpful to think, Korean usually saves the action until the end. Once you begin expecting the verb at the end, Korean sentences become much easier to understand. In fact, that's probably the single biggest adjustment English speakers make when learning Korean. I eat pizza. 저는 피자를 먹어요. The verb usually comes at the end. This gives us our first important pattern. In Korean, the verb usually comes at the end of the sentence. Whether you're talking about eating, studying, going somewhere, or meeting a friend, you'll see this same pattern again and again. So whenever you read a Korean sentence, try waiting for the final word before deciding what the sentence means. Very often, that's where you'll find the action. Now, you might be wondering, if the verb usually comes at the end, what comes before it? Let's look at the pieces that make up a Korean sentence. Let's look at the pieces of a Korean sentence. Subject, time, place, object, verb. For example, 저는 오늘 학교에서 한국어를 공부해요. Many beginner Korean sentences are built from just a few basic pieces. The subject tells us who the sentence is about. The time tells us when something happens. The place tells us where it happens. The object tells us what receives the action. And finally, the verb tells us what happens. Not every sentence includes all of these pieces. Sometimes you'll only have a subject and a verb. Sometimes a sentence might only have a place and a verb. The important thing is understanding that Korean sentences are built by putting these pieces together. You can almost think of it like putting together a puzzle. Each piece adds another bit of information. Who, when, where, what. Then finally, what happens? As you add more pieces, the sentence becomes more complete. And no matter how many pieces you add, the verb usually stays at the end. The other pieces can actually move around more than you might expect. And we'll explore that in part 2. But for today, we'll use this common beginner pattern because it makes building sentences much easier. Subject, time, place, object, verb. A helpful beginner pattern. Remember, this is a helpful pattern for beginners. It's not a strict rule. As you become more comfortable with Korean, you'll discover that native speakers often move these pieces around depending on what they want to emphasize. We'll explore that in the next lesson. For now, this pattern gives us an excellent foundation for building sentences. If you've been looking closely at these examples, you may have noticed something else. Many Korean words have small endings attached to them. Those endings aren't random. They have an important job. Here's a quick note about particles. 저는 커피를 학교에 학교에서. These small endings are called particles. Particles tell us the role that each noun plays in the sentence. Think of them as little labels attached to nouns. For example, in 저는, the particle 는 tells us that 저, meaning I, is the topic of the sentence. In 커피를, the particle 를 tells us that coffee is the object receiving the action. In 학교에, 에 shows a destination or a point in time. And in 학교에서, 에서 tells us where an action takes place. Don't worry if you haven't learned all of these particles yet. For today's lesson, you don't need to memorize exactly how each one works. Our goal is simply to recognize that these little endings help organize the sentence. If you'd like a complete explanation of Korean particles, I have separate lessons dedicated entirely to them. For now, just remember this simple idea. Particles help tell us what role each word plays in the sentence. They work together with word order to show how the different parts of the sentence relate to one another. Now we know the basic pieces of a Korean sentence. The next step is to put those pieces together. From this point on, we're going to stop talking about Korean sentence structure and start building Korean sentences together. Don't worry about making perfect sentences. The goal is simply to become comfortable putting the pieces together. Let's build our first sentence. Building your first Korean sentence. 먹어요. 사과를. 저는 오늘 집에서. Now, let's put these pieces together. One important thing to remember is that not every Korean sentence needs every piece. Some sentences are very short. Others are much longer. As long as the sentence gives enough information for the listener, that's perfectly natural. Let's see how a sentence grows one piece at a time. We'll begin with only the verb, 먹어요, eat. Right now, we know the action, but we don't know much else. Who is eating? What are they eating? When? Where? Let's start answering those questions. 사과를 먹어요. Eat an apple. Now we've added an object, 사과를. Now we know what is being eaten, but we still don't know who is eating. 저는 사과를 먹어요. I eat an apple. Now we've added the subject, 저는. Now we know who is performing the action. The picture is becoming clearer. 저는 오늘 사과를 먹어요. I eat an apple today. Now, let's add time. 오늘. Now we know when the action happens. 저는 오늘 집에서 사과를 먹어요. I eat an apple at home today. Finally, let's add a place. 집에서. Now we know where the action happens. Notice something important. Every time we added another piece, we placed it before the verb. The sentence became longer, but the verb never moved. This is one of the most important patterns in Korean grammar. As Korean sentences grow, the verb usually stays right where it is, at the end. Let's see if the same thing happens with a completely different sentence. Let's build another sentence. We'll start again with only the verb, 가요. Go. Right now, we know the action, but we don't know where someone is going. 학교에 가요. Now we've added the destination, 학교에. Go to school. But we still don't know who is going. 저는 학교에 가요. Let's add the subject, 저는. I go to school. 저는 내일 학교에 가요. Now, let's add time. 내일. I go to school tomorrow. Notice that this sentence doesn't have an object. That's because not every verb takes an object. The verb 가요 describes going to a destination, so it naturally combines with a destination rather than an object. Even though this sentence uses fewer pieces, it still follows the same basic idea. New information is added before the verb, and the verb usually stays at the end. Once you recognize this pattern, building Korean sentences becomes much easier. Great job today! Now it's your turn. Let's put everything together and review. Arrange the words into a natural Korean sentence. 마셔요. 저는 커피를. 저는 커피를 마셔요. Great! Let's try another one.
공부해요.
한국어를 오늘 저는 오늘 한국어를 공부해요. Nice! Remember, the verb stays at the end. 먹어요. 사과를 집에서 저는 집에서 사과를 먹어요. Excellent! 학교에 가요. 내일 저는 내일 학교에 가요. You're getting the hang of it. 친구를 만나요. 학교에서 저는 오늘 학교에서 친구를 만나요. Perfect! This sentence uses all the pieces we've practiced: subject, time, place, object, and verb. Now, can you build a sentence? Now, create one of your own. Pick one word from each column and build a sentence using the same pattern. There isn't just one correct answer, so pause the video and see how many different sentences you can make. The more combinations you try, the more natural Korean word order will begin to feel. Before we finish, look at these 3 sentences one more time. 저는 오늘 사과를 먹어요. 저는 내일 학교에 가요. 저는 오늘 학교에서 친구를 만나요. They all describe different actions, but they share one important pattern. The verb always comes at the end. That's one of the biggest differences between Korean and English. Once you begin expecting the verb to appear last, Korean sentences become much easier to follow. Great! Let's finish with today's 3 big ideas. First, Korean usually builds the situation before revealing the action, so the verb normally comes at the end. Second, many beginner sentences follow the same basic pattern: subject, time, place, object, and verb. Not every sentence uses every piece, but this framework gives you a solid foundation. Finally, particles show the role of each word in the sentence. You don't have to master them all today. Just remember that they help organize the sentence. In today's lesson, we focused on building clear and simple Korean sentences using a common beginner pattern. But Korean is actually much more flexible than we've seen today. In the next lesson, Part 2, we'll build on this foundation. You'll learn why Korean speakers often leave out words that English usually includes, how these sentence pieces can sometimes move around without changing the basic meaning, although the emphasis may change, and how these patterns make everyday Korean sound much more natural. As you continue learning Korean, try noticing this sentence pattern whenever you read or hear Korean. The more often you recognize it, the more natural Korean sentence structure will become. The goal is simply to become comfortable putting the pieces together. The more you practice building Korean sentences, the more natural they'll begin to feel. And remember, learning Korean isn't just about memorizing words or grammar rules. It's about learning a new way of organizing ideas. Great work today! If you enjoyed today's lesson, remember to like and subscribe. Come and hang out in Korean again soon. I'll see you in the next lesson.